product market fit is you got the right product for the market. But what happens when the market shifts? Let's build a surfboard out of this scrap that we have, and let's ride this wave called COVID, because there's gonna be new problems to solve. And problems means there's a lot of opportunities. A lot of times you just gotta look at the opportunities of like timing. Timing is so important. You could be working on something and you're just like 5 years off. Or you can say, hey, there's a big opportunity right now. What are the opportunities that this breakthrough is gonna bring to the market, and how do I latch my wagon to that wave? And how do you start negotiating with like these billion-dollar companies? How do you make sure you get a good deal? What does that look like?
In episode 2 of the Founder Pack podcast, I had an amazing opportunity to sit down with Roberto Ortiz. We discussed things in his traumatic past of losing a parent at a very young age, which put him on a journey to end up at Lockheed Martin at the age of 16, where he fell in love with product design. This passion for product design allowed him to start thinking bigger, and he ended up in Silicon Valley at a Mag 7 startup you all know as Google. At his time at Google, he started dabbling in different side hustles, different ventures, and he ended up co-founding a major mobile fantasy football app that later got acquired by Yahoo. And one of the things I loved most about Roberto is very rarely do you find someone that you get to talk to and meet that cares so much about building their family up as much as they do their business. And I know we could not do this without you guys watching these videos and enjoying them. So I would love it if you would subscribe, like the video, and engage in the comments below. Hope you enjoy it.
Yo.
Hey, man.
What's up, man?
How you doing, brother?
Good. Good to see you.
Hey, thanks for doing this with me.
No doubt. I'm here for it.
So we're just going to jump right in.
Okay.
So help me understand how a 16-year-old gets a job at Lockheed Martin, working with rocket scientists with security clearance, and gets to send things to space.
Man, how much time do you got?
Enough.
Enough time. Okay, so I gotta give you the backstory that makes this a little crazier. So, born and raised in Philly, inner city, North Philadelphia. So, when you go to Philly, this is the neighborhood you typically don't want to go to, and that's where I grew up.
Okay.
Family's still there. And I was locked into school, always got good grades, and fast forward into high school, walked into a computer lab, and I was just like, this is it. Right.
What about the computer lab did that for you?
So, I've always been a creative. So like drawing and I thought architecture was really cool. And I think that's the story most creatives go through, especially builders that got introduced to the internet early on.
Mm-hmm.
They're sort of like, hey, how do I channel this passion? And then you see a computer and you're like, okay, I can translate this digitally onto the screen. And I was locked in.
Did you use like Paint or like
Microsoft Paint?
Okay.
No question. Yeah, these young cats don't know what that means.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
Right? You didn't even have undo or layers, right? But anyway, so I fell into that. But what that did, it unlocked this passion where I got every book I could get my hands on, HTML, Java. I remember going to a website and looking at their source code, and I thought it was illegal.
Yep.
And I would just reverse engineer, how was this built?
Hmm.
So anyway, so I got really tactical and geeked out. Out of all my friends, I was the one locked into that.
What was that aha moment? Because I know for me, when I did my first Hello World application,
Yep.
right, it was like, oh my word,
Mm-hmm.
I can tell this computer what to do.
Yeah.
And it does it.
Yeah.
Was there a moment for you like that?
Yeah, I think, Hello World is your typical sort of exercise.
Mm-hmm.
The marquee. Remember the marquee?
I don't.
There's this HTML sort of command you would just code in, and you just put text in there and just banners across.
Yeah, I do remember
and then
that.
you can change the background to that.
Okay.
It was wild to me. But for me, it was the idea of I can create value through this for the world. Right? It was like, okay, I had this passion. Like this really drew me in, and I saw an opportunity to build value, to create value. Anyway, fast forward that. And by the way, I didn't have a computer at home. Mm-hmm. So I was spending a lot of time in school until I saved up enough money and then bought my first machine. And this was dial-up.
Okay.
And you have to
What was your first machine?
So it was an iMac turquoise.
Okay.
Sort of
Mine
the
was
alien.
a Gateway 2000.
Okay.
So, yep.
With the cow, didn't they have like the cow
They
prints
had the
on it?
cow pattern
Yeah,
and
yeah,
all that
yeah, yeah.
stuff. Yep.
And so anyway, so I, just fell in love with that, and I used to go. I remember door to door to get the CDs, the AOL CDs, to get internet.
Mm-hmm.
Pop those in, and you get like an hour of internet, and just fell in love with it. And then one day, my computer lab teacher, Ms. Bell, she says, "Hey, there's this program. Lockheed Martin is kicking off for the first time, and they're looking at young talent, and I'm going to put your name in." And I didn't even know what Lockheed Martin was.
How old were you at this time?
16.
16. Okay.
But I said, sure, I'll give it a shot. Show up about an hour outside of Philly for an interview. Still don't know how to put my tie on, trying to figure that thing out. And I go in, give it my best shot. And then, a couple weeks later, they say I'm in. And here I was, going into my junior year. So junior year and senior year, I spent 50% of my time at Lockheed Martin.
Wow. What an opportunity.
Yeah. I mean, you're hanging out with the guys
Mm-hmm.
half the week, and then you're literally hanging out with people with PhDs. I didn't know what I was doing.
It's crazy.
The core lesson for me was there is like, keep showing up and keep learning.
Okay.
No question. I'm in an environment. I'm the only one that looks like me. Show up, keep learning every single day.
If Mrs. Bell was watching right now,
Yeah.
what would you want her to know?
Oh man. I mean, she, it's, people talk about the folks that can change your life and the power of teachers. I don't underestimate that.
Mm-hmm.
I think that she was, the cool teacher. She was running computer lab, and she saw something in me, and she kind of gave me that shot and put my name in, and I went for it. I think really for her it's like, yeah, like she wasn't just an educator, she was a door opener.
Amazing.
And that's different.
Yep. I've got a couple of those in my life. One is Mrs. Qualls.
Uh-huh.
It was multimedia class, and she just let us do anything we ever wanted with the new technology that existed out there. And then the other one is Mrs. O'Banion. And she was really involved in computer programming at the time when I was in high school, and just super grateful for people like that pour into you and see something in you that maybe you don't see yet. And they are the wind in your sails to get you to that next step of your career. So
no doubt.
So what were you doing at Lockheed Martin?
Yeah. So the role first was it was brilliant. You think about it. What they were trying to do is tackle the talent pipeline. And their hypothesis was, if we can start a program that trains youth in our code base, in how we build software and how we support these systems, man, we can get people right out of school to jump in and contribute right away, not having to train them and ramp them up. And that was their core thesis. And so I went in just learning a bunch of programming things. Now, granted, I'm a designer. That's my background. That's my passion. So I'm in there. I'm learning Java and C++ and .NET, these old sort of things. And it's like, okay, I'll just do the work and figure it out. But then I saw that they were also jamming on creative. And that got me really to lean in.
So did you know you were a creative before that? Yeah,
because at that point I had my own sort of side business as a web developer.
Okay.
And everybody that needed a website, they didn't know they needed, but I convinced them that they needed.
Love it.
Back at that day.
Okay.
And I was just so running so fast externally. And I sort of like think about that now, like fast forward to today, right? You have AI as a core new thing. Back in the day for me, going into a company that wasn't sort of born into the tool set, you got youth right now. You got young cats right now that are 20, 21, 22. They're born with these AI capabilities, these tools.
They're going to HVAC operators and cleaning companies and be like, hey, I can supercharge you with AI right now.
It's such a thing, right? They're doing that. But also there's an advantage, because now as an organization that doesn't have those folks that are well-versed in that technology can bring those folks in, and they'll run circles around their whole team because they're just born with that technology. And so for me, I was like born with that in my hand, and I was building things externally. And so when I come into Lockheed, it's like, oh yeah, we're doing it that way, but have you thought about doing it this way? and let me show you what we can build here.
Yeah.
And that really was a step change in my career there.
The power of alternate perspectives.
No question.
No
question.
I think, I always wondered, how did my grandparents not know how to use an iPhone?
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's like, now I know,
No
because
question.
technology goes so fast that, when you grow up and that's all you ever know,
That's right.
It's much easier to use it.
Yep.
So I always tell my kids, my goal is to not lose grip of the new technology that comes out, because it's like the second you don't adapt to the new technology that comes is the second that you're falling behind.
That's right. That's right.
So, so you've always had side hustles going on?
Always.
So when did you know that you were a entrepreneur or a founder or a builder or someone that wanted to create things out of nothing to add value to the world?
I think I saw my dad hustling when I was young. He always had multiple jobs. I think that was the seed that was planted. And these weren't big things. These were just like small little hustles, right? Just to get by. But for me, as a teenager, and I would create something or get a job and provide value, I just liked the idea of work, that I can sort of show up, contribute, get paid for it. And then when you build something on your own, like a website or a brand for an organization, and they give you, back in the day, you probably charge $50 for a logo.
Yeah.
And you were
It's like
happy.
the Nike logo is $25,
you
right?
would be happy.
Yeah.
But it's the validation of like, you know what? I bet on myself. And I think that was the biggest thing. It's like, man, like I show up, there's value, I win, they win. And it just builds this confidence that just compounds. Because then you're like, I didn't know I could do this. I'm doing it. I did it. I'm going to do it again. And that just compounds confidence.
Yeah.
To say, okay, cool.
Yep.
So now I'm going to step into an arena I've never been in, but I look back and connect the dots. I've done things before.
Sure.
I didn't know. I just showed up and learned.
Yep.
And then I could contribute, and I won, and I keep winning. And I think that those small little wins just pile in. And so for me, as a 16-year-old, launched my own website and put services on there, I thought, yeah, I'm an entrepreneur now.
Yeah.
I can build value and I can get after it as early as that age.
I love that.
Yeah.
When did you realize, like, okay, I want to do this and I'm going to get rid of this analysis paralysis and now I'm going to do this?
Well, I mean, if as a teenager, you're like, look, I'm making money here. It's an easy decision for me, right? And I mean, just understanding my background is like, when you see the opportunities that this kind of work can afford you, there's no second guessing. It's like, okay, what did I have lined up before? This is what I'm dabbling with now. Why am I not going to double down on here?
Yeah.
That's just, it was an easy decision.
Yeah, because I can resonate with having to muster up the confidence to actually make that first move. And when I think back in my journey, I think it really comes down to something needed to get done. No one else was willing to do it. And I was like, oh, I'll do it. I'll figure it out. And that's where I think that's when it started in me, that gave me the confidence to know, like, oh, if I say I can do something or I can figure something out, and then you do it, you start to realize this like mechanism starts happening within you. That's like, oh, when I need to figure something out, I can, and I've seen that I can actually figure it out.
Yeah.
And then it fast forwards you to the next thing, the next challenge, and it becomes this game, if you will, to where you want to gain more knowledge, you want to gain more experience, you want to gain more wisdom. And I think work becomes play.
No doubt.
Whenever you start to see that when I work and when I put the effort in, there's actually a valuable impact that comes on the other side of that effort.
No question.
And people are different. Not everyone loves that. You know?
But it's also, now that, fast forward, there's a lot of research around fixed mindset, growth mindset. And for me, the default has always been such like grown mindset. And when I, talk to my wife, and we've been together forever, like she was like, honey, not everybody thinks the way you do. I'm like, what do you mean? Of course they think the way I do. Like, why wouldn't you go and do that? Of course. It's like when, and it backfires sometimes because you overly confident and you're like, I'm gonna go remodel my kitchen because I know I can do this. Like, how hard can it be? And sometimes, you learn hard lessons that way.
For sure.
But the default is, of course I can.
Yep.
But I feel like when I look back and connect the dots, it's because the reps that you put in and the small wins, and it makes it less scary for you to get after, because you're like, okay, what's the worst that can happen?
Yeah.
Right? You learn.
Yep.
And you shuffle after that.
That's right. I love that. When did you transition into product design, just in general, like at Google, let's say? Because I know, was Google after Lockheed Martin?
Google was after Lockheed Martin.
Okay.
Yep.
What was that transition like?
Yeah.
And when did you start seeing, oh, I love product design?
So I was doing product design at Lockheed.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So that transition happened at Lockheed.
Happened at Lockheed. I think things were changing. Like we go through these like eras in tech, right? You go through PC era, and there's internet, and there's mobile, but early 2000s, you're building things, and your software is becoming much more interesting, because now you can add good design on top of software, and that's where it collided for me.
Yep.
Like, okay, design, not just from a branding, positioning, website, there's value in there.
Sure.
But now when you translate good design into product thinking and the overlap, I think that's where product design really comes from. Back in the day, now it's just like, no, you can go study product design, you can do all the things, but for us folks that are self-taught, you just stumble into it, and you're like, okay, how do I think about building good product? Well, it starts with empathy. Same thing if you're building a website, you start with thinking about the user is going to visit that website. So a lot of if you're thinking as a product builder and designer, at the core, it's designing for the user, never losing sight of that. And so like transitioning from either I'm designing a brand for this user and this web representation of what this brand looks like, to now actually, no, there's a sign-in screen, and there's a table view, and this user has to take these actions. And so for me, I got into that when I was at Lockheed, but I've always had my external sort of like agency.
Yeah.
And that gave me opportunities to dabble even more further in UX and product design.
Okay.
And so it was a combination of both.
Cool.
Yeah.
So did you apply for the role at Google, or what did that look like?
Okay. So there's this quick story there.
Yeah.
So, I'm 10 years at Lockheed now.
Okay.
So go super fast, super grateful. That was like training ground for me. And then product design and UX was becoming more and more of a thing and on my radar. And 10-year mark was like, okay, I should probably look out the window now.
Sure, you're 26 at this point.
Yeah, see what's cooking. And then I said, all right, I think it's time to make a move. And so by default, I was on the East Coast, Philly this time. By default, I said, well, criteria for me is I got to stay close to family. That was like the number one thing. And so I looked at companies in the region, and sort of opportunities came up. And then I went to my in-laws for dinner one night as I'm sort of telling them, hey, yeah, I'm thinking about making this move. And then my mother-in-law, she's like, hey, so how's all that going? And I'm like, it's going good. She says, so which companies are you looking at? And I start naming a couple, and eBay had like a place in Jersey, and Amazon had like a hybrid site somewhere. And it started naming some of those.
So you were going for the big ones.
Well, yeah, I thought
at the time eBay was pretty big, right?
I thought they were the big ones, but again, close proximity, because I wasn't thinking about moving. Culturally, you just stay close to family. And so I said, yeah, these are the ones. And then she hit me with a question as I'm like chowing down on dinner. She's like, so for what it is that you do, because she still had a hard time understanding what I did there, what are the best companies to work for? It never crossed my mind.
What a great question.
Right?
Yeah. It's like it probably took the lid off of your thinking of what was possible for you.
Well, you think about it, like, who thinks about it that way? Maybe a lot of people do. It's like they have their dream company to go work for. For me, my prioritization was family first.
Yeah.
And so I got to stay close in proximity. And therefore, these are the companies and opportunities. When she asked that question, the companies that I was talking to were not on my top list of best companies.
Right.
At that time, I said, well, there's this company named Facebook. They're doing some social media thing. Apple. Google is a cool one. These are like really top of their game.
Yeah.
Top 5. And she said, we're eating dinner. She's like, okay, so why aren't you applying to those? I didn't have an answer.
Right.
But if I unpack that, I didn't think I was qualified enough to apply to the big guys.
So your mother-in-law is now Mrs. Bell in a new form.
That's right. That's right. She takes a lot of credit, by the way. Now, fast forward, she takes a lot of credit.
She's like, think bigger, Roberto.
She's like, I need some equity. She typically tells me, reminds me. But so literally that night I go back and I go to Google and I'm like, how do I apply to Google?
Okay.
And I'm like, I already got I'm in the interview process. I already have my resume and cover sheets, and I just find a site and I upload. And so when I see my mother-in-law again, I can tell her, yeah, I already applied for those.
Yeah. So how did that feel when you did that? Were you kind of nervous? Were you excited? Were you anxious? Did you still believe, I can't do this, but I'm going to do this just so?
No. So here's the thing.
Yeah.
At the time, I didn't think it didn't hit me. Now I've had time to kind of unpack it, right? At the time, it was just like, it didn't occur to me. But when I see my mother-in-law again, I want to be able to say, oh yeah, I applied to the top ones.
Yeah.
That was it. But as I unpack it now, so many years later, I think that there was this doubt. Like, you didn't go to an Ivy League school. These are like across the country, California. Like, they only take the tippity top from these Ivy League schools. So why would you apply?
Yeah.
So I unpacked that over time. But that night I was just like, just check the box.
Just going for it.
Yeah.
Yep.
2 weeks later, I got a call from Google.
Okay. How'd that feel?
Like, I was like, holy shit. Like Google, I told
Seems
my wife.
Appropriate.
I mean,
yeah.
Literally, I was like, wow, Google, this is like, I checked the email, make sure it's not spam, and it was real. And, long story short, ended up recruiting me out and had a good farewell party for my family. It was so emotional because we had this pack, like we all stayed together. And so that was the hardest thing, was leaving family. But
how did your mother-in-law feel that she encouraged you to take her daughter away?
I know. Yeah. She didn't think of it.
It's got to be this weird paradox.
She didn't think it through. She didn't know.
Yeah.
Well, she just didn't know that they were located across the country. She just didn't know.
Sure.
So I said, hey, I got in. And by the way, I'm taking your daughter across the country.
Wow.
And it's still crazy how these small things can kind of just be pivotal.
Yep.
And one question can change your life, depending on the decision you make.
One question, one person.
No question.
For better or worse.
No doubt.
I know, you moved your wife across the country.
Yeah.
And it makes me think of, someone told me one time that there's two extremely important decisions you'll make. One, the person you marry, and two, the person your wife marries.
How about that?
Right?
Yeah.
And so who do I want to be from my spouse, and who do I want my spouse to be?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I think that's a very important element to this, because I'm sure if you're looking at your wife and saying, I'm going to move you across the country, walk me through the importance of that moment in y'all's relationship.
Yeah. So, I mean, at that point, my wife and I, we met in high school.
Okay.
Geometry class, 10th grade. She was a church girl. I wasn't. But we connected as friends. And, it was just like, we were just, at that point, I think, 10 years, a little bit more together.
Okay.
And so, it was a hard decision. And she was pursuing her own career and her own groups. And we had church and all that. And it's hard to go to a place you've never been before and start over and away from family. But man, we can talk about her all day, but she is like so core to the reason why I've accomplished what I accomplished. Like, there's no me if there wasn't Charlena.
For
right?
sure.
And like, but she's like pushed me off the edge all the time.
Yep.
Like, Spartan scene is like, she's pushing you off the edge to go after it. Right. And so, it was a tough call, but it was the best call.
Yes. Yeah. I can think back to Cassie and I's, when we got married, we had lots of conversations around like, okay, Cassie, what's your goals?
Yeah.
And then what's my goals?
Yeah.
And how are we going to help each other achieve those?
Yep.
You know, it wasn't like one person's goals had to go to the wayside because another person's goals trumped,
Yeah.
you know, your partner.
No doubt.
And having a partner that wants to see you flourish in the things that God has gifted you to do is just an incredible thing to have. And
I mean, it's a game changer.
Game changer.
Literally, MJ.
Yep.
Like I talk, you know, I have younger brothers, and you know, I think fast forward to trying to find your spouse nowadays, I think it's just a step change difference from like even 20 years ago. Like, you know, there's this pressure for people nowadays and the youth to have it all figured out.
Yep.
Like I gotta have the right job. I have to be independent. I have to have my own place.
Yep.
I have to
financially ready for it.
Like, what does that even mean?
Exactly.
You know, when I found my partner, we had nothing.
Same.
And so the idea of like, I think we take away sort of what's sacred about.
Yep.
We're gonna build together.
For sure.
And like literally, we did that. Like we had to put ourselves through college. We did that together. Like we sort of bought our first place. We did that together. It's like you remove all the nonsense and say, is this your person or not?
Yep.
Like we're starting at zero.
And you have to cherish the adventure.
No doubt.
Like I know for Cassie and I, we would go buy bread on Thursdays because that's whenever it was going bad and it was half off. And
right.
we'd be bumming, you know, meals off my parents and things like that. I mean, we were so poor. But let's get into some of the founder journey stuff. So
let's do it.
Because not only do you have an incredible career leading up to it and still today, but there's a few defining moments on your founder journey for you. And one of those was when you got a call from one of your friends to help out and found an early startup that you would bootstrap. So this is a bootstrap startup.
Yep.
Walk me through that whole process.
Yeah. So, you know, I was always dabbling on the side, you know, and I think people underestimate side gigs and sort of like having the side hustle. I think that's like the breakthrough to so much, because typically you got your full-time job and then you're doing a side hustle. Might as well pick something you're passionate about. And so I was in it, product design. And at that time I was at Lockheed Martin, and I got a call from, my buddy Keith. Actually, I was working with him in PA, and he knew who would then become my co-founder. We've been working together for 15 years. Jerry, but I didn't know Jerry at the time. He was working across the country at another Lockheed location. And he's like, hey, you know, I got a friend named Jerry. He's building out an app, and he can use some design help. I think you guys should connect.
Okay.
And I'm like, yeah. At that time, I was dabbling with mobile design, so I looked at this as an opportunity to like jump in. So Jerry and I got on the phone. This is before, you know, remote was cool, but we were having conversations, and he was already off and running, and it was a fantasy sports app.
Okay.
And so he's the brains behind it. He saw an opportunity there, and then he said, yeah, you know, I'm looking for some help here and bring some product and brand. And I'm like, let's get it. Let's get after it. And so we locked in, and we agreed on like how we would work together. And we were working remote before remote was cool, like back Skyping together.
Okay.
Right. Yeah. So anyway, so we locked into that, and it was bootstrapped, and it was you know, we talk about in tech, there's these waves of opportunities, right? So you got like the internet. It's like all these things that happen there, right? And then it kind of, settles down. And then mobile comes out, and now we're seeing that with AI. And so a lot of times you just got to look at the opportunities of like timing things. Timing is so important.
It's a huge deal.
As a founder. You could be working on something and you're just like 5 years off.
Yep.
The market's not ready for it.
That's right.
Or you can say, hey, there's a big opportunity right now. What are the opportunities that this breakthrough is going to bring to the market, and how do I latch my wagon to that wave? How do I run with that? And at the time, it was mobile.
Okay.
So here we are building mobile apps for fantasy sports. Jerry figured out a differentiator of bringing live drafting to mobile, and we were getting after it. And
which is so cool to think about, because, you know, fantasy sports was really big during that time. Yeah. At least when I think about, I got into football because of like fantasy football.
Yeah.
I didn't like grow up watching football or anything like that. And I remember just my mind being blown that like I can now engage in what's
Yeah.
happening, you know, in cities way away from me that I'm watching on TV.
Yep.
I can now engage in that with my friends.
No doubt.
And so walk us through some of the tech that you guys brought that was just like a game changer in the mobile experience.
Well, I think what Jerry figured out was a way to have one app to track teams across like even different platforms.
Mm,
Okay. So like you can be on Yahoo to have some of your fantasy sports. You can be on NFL. I think CBS has something.
okay.
We
So
got
it's like a platform agnostic, like bringing all of the features into one app, so you're
bring
not having to switch through all
bring
of
it to
them.
mobile.
Yep.
But I think the big unlock there was live drafting
Okay.
and doing that on a mobile device,
Mm,
right? Like that feels like, of course, you had live drafting,
yeah.
but back in, I mean,
No.
everything was web based,
Yep.
right? And so I think that was the brilliant opportunity there. And then we were bringing just different design and thinking to that, and we had our own theme and brand around it, and people were just resonating with it. And so anyway, it was taken off, bootstrapped, and we worked on that for a couple years. And at one, it was just pretty much like on maintenance mode for a little bit, at least from my end. Sort of got the product figured out. And that's when Google actually came and sort of pull me in.
Okay.
And so we still had this thing. And fast forward a couple years, and we had an acquisition come out of that.
So who acquired it?
Yahoo.
Yahoo.
Yeah.
Okay. Yahoo was the mobile app experience and the fantasy sports experience that me and my friends all used. We never used any of the other ones. It was
Yep.
always Yahoo.
Yep.
So what did they walk me through that process? Did they reach out to you and Jerry?
So
like,
Jerry was the main guy.
Okay.
Right. And so I just get a call from Jerry, and he's like, "Hey, like Yahoo's interested." I was like, "What?" We step outside, we have this conversation, and it's like Jerry's starting to have conversations, and is like, "How do you start negotiating?" Like us, we're like small shop is like a 2-person thing.
Sure.
He's running point on it, and how do you start negotiating with like these billion-dollar companies?
Mm-hmm.
How do you make sure you get a good deal? What does that look like? And so what was cool is Jerry lined up some calls with attorneys to get consultation.
Okay.
Turns out you spend 1 hour with a firm to get consultation. Guess what? They're going to answer your most pressing questions.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, rinse and repeat that with 10 other firms. You're going to get all your questions answered.
Yep.
And you don't have to pay no one.
Right. Could you get your consultation done?
So yeah. So there's a lot of that. And then I ended up going over there, and it was an interesting time because, you know, at that time Marissa Mayer was there trying to turn the company around and invest in mobile. And the idea was like, let's bring these entrepreneurs in who are mobile first. They have technology, and you know the tech actually got integrated and became a lot of what Yahoo Fantasy is. And it was great, but that experience was really interesting because for me, you know, I was now leaving Google and go to Yahoo, and it's like, what's happening here? But for me, it was like, again, the decision was like, yeah, like why not? Like, let's get after it, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, this is, you know, a lot of people think about like holding on to things so tightly because they're scared. It's like, oh, this is a great opportunity. When I told my family that I'm leaving Google, they just like, they thought
Why
I was
would you do that? That was on your top 10.
oh my
Yahoo wasn't on there.
exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, my mom was rocking the Google hoodie.
Yep.
You know, back in the neighborhood, she was proud
Like,
of that.
my son works at Google.
That's right. Yeah. And it's like, well, you know, I think it's like, what story are you trying to live into? And for me, literally, when I was at Google, it was amazing. You're working with smart people, endless runway, great brand equity, building great technology. And I was there for a few years, and I was just like, it was too utopian. It scared me. I was like, fast forward, I could be in Google for life.
Yeah.
And it'll be a great story. But man, I think that there's a better story.
Right.
And it's worth kind of risking things for.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So we talked about your wife.
Yeah.
You know, partner at home.
Yeah.
Sounds like you chose a great partner for
No doubt.
the bootstrap founding of this app that got acquired by Yahoo.
Yeah.
what went into evaluating it? If you could give advice to some early founders out there around how to select a partner, what qualities to look for in a partner, and how to, come together to build something bigger than you could on your own, what would you tell them?
You're talking about like a co-founder.
Hmm.
Man,
Yeah.
I think like, you look at that, partners, like founder relationships and the fallout of founders tends to be like one of the top three reasons why companies don't work. Because you don't have alignment, either character alignment, vision alignment, the balance of skill sets, right?
Yep.
Like if you're a developer and I'm a product guy, like, man, we can go build,
Hmm.
right? If you're an engineer and I'm an engineer, it's like, okay, there's still some gaps there.
Yep.
So it's like things have to align. But I think it comes down to, I think, trust, character. Do you enjoy work? Do you enjoy hanging out with this person?
Yep.
Like literally, I've been working with my co-founder for over 15 years now, building different companies. And I spend more time with them than anybody else, right?
Hmm.
And it's like, can you see yourself working with this person long term? And that's what you have to kind of bet on.
Yeah.
It's like, can you see, and do you complement each other, and do you trust each other? Because when those things don't align, then it's friction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How'd you guys set up the original, like, do you guys 50-50 everything? How do you set up your partnership?
Well, I think it depends. Like, I think, and different founders do it differently.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you fast forward to the recommendation now, like, for instance, when we got into Y Combinator, I know we're going to
Yeah.
talk about that. Yeah, there's typical rule of thumb. Like, the company's worth nothing when you're first starting off,
Mm-hmm.
right? You build it from the bottom. But now if you have something already, like in Jerry's case, he already had like this idea, this concept, got some traction,
Yeah.
then it wouldn't make sense,
Right.
right? And so I think it all depends, depending on the founder that you partner with.
Yeah. And what value they bring to the table.
Yeah.
Some founders outsize value than other founders.
Yeah, I think, for us, and one of the things as we built different things and even our latest venture, like, guess what? Every founder here is going to be up to 3 a.m,
Mm-hmm.
right? We're going to be bussing to get things done. Like, it's hard to have a conversation. Well, no, you're only worth 20% of this.
Mm-hmm.
When we should find a founding team that complements each other. It's like like this table. There's 3 legs here. If one of them falls out, then this thing isn't going to work. Like, if you can find that level of setup dynamic within your founding team, man, like, yeah, it should just be evenly split.
Yeah.
No question.
And I think, so I've done the 50-50 route before.
Yep.
I've done different fractions,
Yep.
if you will.
Sure.
And I think at this point, and it's going to be different for everybody.
No doubt.
Right. And I think at this point where I'm at in the experience that I've had,
Yeah.
I think there almost needs to be someone in that group that has the authority to make a final call if necessary.
That's right.
So that the organization doesn't get bogged down
Yeah.
with decision fatigue.
That's right.
Constant arguing or constant deciding what the next step for the company needs to be.
Yeah.
And so at least for me, I'm at the point now in my career that when I think about starting something new, or if I do, I really need to think through what's the level of involvement and authority that's required to get it done. And sometimes I partner with people where I'm trusting their authority,
no doubt,
to get it done, and I'm coming along for the ride.
Yeah.
And so I think that's just a really interesting thing that when you think about the formation of an entity, really thinking about the long term, not just what feels good in the moment, but be willing to have those hard conversations up front to set those expectations so that there's no ambiguity in the future.
Yeah.
So
and I think it really depends. Like in the businesses we built, we knew sort of how we complement each other, and we had 3 founders, and it was like this thing where it's like, yeah, man, we're all going to be busting to get this thing done. We all complement each other really well from a business perspective, a design perspective, engineering perspective. Let's get after it. And so, but yeah, I think you're right. I think it depends, especially in seasons, right? If you're about to start something and you're putting your capital into it and you're putting, but you're bringing like this other person kind of to fill in the gap, then that becomes a different sort of structure.
Right.
I think. Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. So Yahoo,
Yeah.
you're there, you're doing that. What did that do to you after the acquisition? You're in Yahoo, you're no longer at Google.
Sure.
You know,
Yeah.
what was that season of your life like?
Well, I was still in Silicon Valley, right? So
Hmm.
nothing changed. I was living in the same place, part of the same church. Uh, for me, it was just like showing up. It was just a different pace because you're looking at a turnaround. You're looking at like
Hmm.
it's go time. So it actually, and where I was working was with a lot of other entrepreneurs,
Okay.
and that changes like how you think, right? When
Hmm.
you get entrepreneurs in a room, it gets a little crazy in a good way. So nothing really changed in life outside of like, now I'm running a team and we're building for mobile and we're getting ad revenue up and it's different, but in many ways the same from a product perspective, from a design
Yeah.
standpoint. Yeah.
So did you find yourself getting bored now that you've tasted
Uh,
the bootstrap of,
yeah.
building something, and then now you're at Yahoo, that's done. Did you need something else?
Yeah.
Like, was there an itch that needed scratched?
Yeah. I mean, at that point, was really investing in family and sort of like building a family. And
Mm.
that took now, there's seasons. It's like, okay, work is a thing now. It's like, we decided it's time for us to build our family. And that became like a top line priority
Yeah.
for us. And that seasons change, right? When
Hmm.
priorities change. Um, and for me, yeah, it was just like, yeah, I think it's time for me to kind of take a step back from like the Silicon Valley, like, because you can see it, you could just see it, and you stay locked in, and now you're, VP, and now you're sort of growing, and that's great. Like that's a great story, right? And there's great upside there. But for me, I just wanted to get back to building,
Hmm.
and
'Cause
I
you're a builder.
I just knew that. I just knew I
Yeah.
wanted to go do that. And so yeah, it kind of like stepped off that track and took some time and to invest in family, and then got the band back together again and said let's go build.
I want to talk a little bit about. I mean, you've accomplished some incredible things. You've been a part of incredible teams, um, but your life has had some serious trauma.
Yeah,
I would love to talk to you a little bit about your dad passing away and
yeah,
that element in your life that has in some ways shaped who you are today.
yeah. Like I said, I was born and raised in Philly. My mom and dad moved out in the '70s from Puerto Rico to start a family. Fast forward now, it's 5 kids at home, and my dad is such a giver, you know, such a giver, and he had a rough life, had some health conditions and always hustling to kind of make ends meet. And I remember one night somebody came to the door. It's like after midnight, and they were banging on the door. So everybody woke up, and then my dad comes back upstairs. Like, hey, it's fine. I have to take the neighbor to the
Hmm.
hospital. Sit tight. I'll be back. So we said okay. So he goes, takes the neighbor to the ER, and on his way back home, uh, had a fatal car accident.
Hmm.
Right. So I'm 9 years old. That's my guy.
Yeah.
Right. Protector, hero. People know when you have a good father how special that is, right, in
Sure.
your life. And so as a 9 year old, for me, I didn't know how to process that. My first thought was, oh yeah, he didn't pass away. He left.
Hmm.
Because I seen a lot of single moms growing up with no dads around, and seeing a lot of my friends didn't have their dads around. And so for me, it was like, oh yeah, we did something. Like he
Hmm.
left. And so I went through a season of like looking for him.
Wow.
And I remember, my mom driving, and I'll say, Mom, stop the car. I just saw dad.
Hmm.
It's like went through that. And then it settled in. And when I look back and connect the dots here, there's like you can sort of bask in the sorrow of that and grief. Um, or you can let it change you.
Hmm.
And for me, it changed me pretty drastically. for me, the message was, you're alone and you have to figure it out. So it was really around me sort of taking the burden off my mom and say, I don't want her to have to worry about me.
Hmm.
And so the way that I can help her is to take care of myself.
Mm.
And so work became the number one thing for me. And so here I am, 9, 10, getting into 11. I said, I have to go work. I have to go
Yeah.
take the burden of me off of mom. And the way I thought about doing that was to work, to take care of me, and also help wherever I could. And that really became sort of the message that like instilled the work ethic. So it lit a fire in me.
Yeah.
And it's not healthy because you can take it and you say, you know what, like that's not like a kid, sort of that's not the right message. But part of me is thankful that that became the message,
Yeah.
as opposed to other, people go through a traumatic event like that, and there's different messages.
Yeah.
And I've gotten, there's phases of that. But for me, the overarching thing was like, it's time to go to work. And then that work ethic is what fueled my obsession with value creation and work, where I became passionate about what I was doing. And I just love the idea of working and providing value. And that's what's kind of like in my early teenage years built that work ethic of, I'm gonna crush it at school.
Yeah.
I'm gonna crush it at this job. I'm gonna have 3 jobs while I'm in high school.
Sure.
Yeah, Lockheed Martin is gonna happen. It's like, and then it sort of frames your perspective around, like what story are you living? Like, what are we getting after here?
Yeah. I remember I had an employee that passed away,
Yeah.
Car accident.
Yeah.
And I remember during that time, there was a very wise person that said, like, you can't judge how people deal with the grief of these things. In some ways, we weren't created to deal with these types of traumatic events.
Yeah.
And some people will grieve in a lot of different ways. And there is this picture that he gave that when you have this moment, you're almost like thrown into a river. And it's just like the current of the river will take you. And you don't fully know when you're going to get out.
Yeah.
And you don't fully know what's going to happen on that journey.
Yeah.
But it's almost like you just have to surrender to it in some ways.